Hi, Hector. Thanks for coming on and talking to me today.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me.
So, I came across your work with Ikigai. Um, Japanese philosophy is something that I've recently become more interested in over the past several months. So, just out of curiosity, what kind of took you down that road? And you wrote in the book that you had noticed that there weren't many works bringing the concept of Ikigai over to the West. What kind of led you to taking on that challenge?
So, first, yeah, I came to Japan 20 years ago, and that's where I didn't. Many people come to Japan because they have a love for Japan before coming. For me, it was I fell in love with Japan after arriving here. So, I came with not many expectations, and I was very, very surprised by everything. It was like a cultural shock. Like it was. I always explain it. It's like traveling to an alien. Imagine going to an alien country. Like almost you are traveling to another planet. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
felt when I arrived here, and that hooked me. I was always interested. I think I've been a curious person since I was a child, but all the mysteries of Japan made me even more curious, and I wanted to learn. So that's how I started. I wrote my first book is not very philosophical. It's more about it's called A Geek in Japan. So I wrote A Geek in Japan as a book to teach myself about Japanese, very simple Japanese concepts. So when I was walking around the street, I don't understand what this is. It's like a Shintoist like shrine.
Mm.
So I would read about Shinto shrines. I would ask Japanese people about what is Shintoism, and then I would write about it in the book. And that's how I started r- asking Japanese people living in Japan and writing books about Japan. And then I started looking deeper into things, or I was also started to be like I started becoming a little bit Japanese, I guess, and seeing things. Okay, this is something that Japanese people have, but is not very well known in other places of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it led me to writing about concepts like ikigai, like the word ikigai, which later I wrote the first book about Ikigai, and now there are more than 50 books about Ikigai. But I was like a pioneer. It's like
Yeah.
putting the idea out there, and it makes me happy that now there are many. It's not only my idea; it's just a Japanese word.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes language, like human language, if it helps you to express ideas or not only ideas but the whole feeling of a society, it's a useful thing to be used by everyone.
S-
And to add to as a little bit to add to that is not like we invented something new.
mm.
We just put it there because the ikigai philosophy, it's a little bit a reinvention of what existentialism or what Viktor Frankl did in the
Yep.
70s, but is rewritten in a way that I think it is more appealing for the new generations, and that's why it's going to the heart of everyone, I think.
Yeah. So was Frankel a big influence for you before then?
Yes, not Frankel in general, but the whole way of thinking. My co-author Francesc, he is very influenced by Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
So he's the one who told me you should read every. So I read everything by Viktor Frankl. For me, I like more. I like Albert Camus, and the ideas are a little bit different, very different. But the what I like to pick up from them is that we can agree. There are many cultures. You can think about many things in life. Like you can have very different beliefs. You can believe in God or not. You can believe that if you die, you will have a reincarnation. You can believe that you will. There are other worlds or there are not. You can believe anything you want. But we can agree on one thing. You, Jake, and me, Hector, we are now here together in this. You are at the other side of the planet, but we are in the same planet, most probably. So we are in this planet, like moving around, and we are alive, both you and me. And you were born, I don't know when. I was born in the 80s, and we will die sometime in the future. So that's something we can all agree. Maybe there is someone who will say, no, Hector and Jake, you are just ghosts. You are not real or something. But most probably 99% of the people will agree that you are alive from one moment and then you die at another moment. So the point is that you have to make the best you can while you are alive. And then the philosophical thing becomes what means to do the best you can from when you are born until you die, because just the best is very, and that's where I'm very open. Like, but one of the main arguments of Viktor Frankl is that while you're alive, if you have a very strong why, if you know your purpose, you can bear anyhow. So you can have a very unfortunate thing happening in your life, but you have a very strong purpose inside you, you will be okay. And the reverse is also true. If you don't have a strong purpose, you will suffer. So that's the main point that I like about. And that's also the main point we make in Ikigai, that having a clear purpose, a clear Ikigai. Ikigai means you're having a life that is worthwhile in Japanese. So having a life that is worthwhile living is the most important layer. On top of that, you can start building. You can build a family. You can have your job. But then having that purpose will allow you to make choices, like the right choices. If not, you might make wrong choices. That's also okay.
Yeah. So you mentioned how it's a very broad and open idea, and something where it can be confusing to figure out what that is. But my understanding is that the four principles of Ikigai for figuring out what that means for you is something that you love to do or are good at, the world needs, and you can get paid for it. So it's an intersection between those that kind of help you take this like big open-ended concept and clarify it a little bit.
Yes, that's the tool that we recommend using. If you're good news is, if you don't know what your purpose in life is, if you don't know your Ikigai, it's okay. We can give you an Ikigai. It should be to create your Ikigai from now on, or to figure it out. And to do that, one way is trial and error. For example, you try something, you try another thing, you try another thing, but what those things that you try, which ones are good for you or not, maybe a way to select them or to know if they're good for you or not, and the people around you, is exactly what you said. Is in the back cover of the book. Is the 4 circles of Ikigai that you just described. It's an exercise you can do you can write it down you don't even need the circles. You can write down in a paper, what do I love doing, and you write a list of things that you love doing. Then you write a list of things that you're good at. And that's a little bit more difficult, especially if you're young.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're good at or not.
Yeah.
So for people, if you are young, one of the troubles, my personal experience, is that we also have many people. It can be teachers, or it can be your parents, or it can be your friends who will tell you, you're good at this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've had that, right, Jake? You're good at this. And maybe someone else will say, you're bad at this. You're bad at this. You're good at this. This is better for you. So I'm always very careful about other people's opinions. So
Yeah.
it could be a good guidance, but maybe sometimes I think, for me, for example, it was the reverse. I had many teachers who told me I was not good at writing, and I was better at mathematics and science. So I ended up doing computer science, and I ended being a software engineer. But I liked writing, so I kept writing, even though they told me I was not good at it. So be careful. Be careful when someone tells you you are not good at something. It might be true, or it might not be true. So after a while, I think you can figure out better what your natural talent or what you're good at. And my recommendation is to keep, sometimes this is also, there's a fine line, like if you quit too early something, or when you have to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Even if you quit too early, many things, that's not good. You just keep pushing a little bit more, and you will see things differently and learn more about what you're really good at. And then there is the obvious thing, like something you can make money with, which this also, I get many questions about it. Sometimes it can be also things that you believe you could make money with it, but maybe not. And that's okay, because it can be another thing. For example, you have the podcast, and podcasting is very, very difficult to make money directly with a podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if you keep doing something like a podcast, at some point something related to it will happen. And that's where the money will come from. I used to have a blog. I still have a blog, but I don't update it in the old times. I used to update the blog every day, and I never really made money with the blog, but many things happen. I got requests for different things, consulting, writing articles for newspapers or for a website. So many things happen around it, and I kept doing the blog. So my recommendation is, yes, money is important, but don't stop doing something just because it's not making money directly.
Yeah.
If you feel that the rest is working. And then the last one is what you said about what the world needs. And sometimes we feel a little bit overwhelmed. Oh, the whole world. I always say that you can think very small. Like maybe you have a friend that needs your help. Or it can be your wife, your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. They just need you to talk with them. And that's good enough. Maybe one day you don't need to save the whole world. You can save one person or help another person. And I believe in the butterfly effect. If you're nice with 3-4 people around you, that might create, maybe that will change the life of that person, because you said to your best friend, you are very good at this, and that will click something in his mind or her mind, and will start something that 10 years later, oh wow, look, you told me. So that's the long answer for those if you write down those 4 questions and you try to answer them, not many people try to answer them. So
Yeah.
if you actually do it, not many people has done that.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah.
It's one of those that's like advice that people just kind of overlook, because like maybe it's stuff that like people hear a lot and like they just think that like they know already or something, but like I think it could be such a valuable practice to actually do deliberately. Like I've never done anything like that.
So you have to do it then. You have the homework for this weekend.
Sure.
Just write it and don't feel. You can leave it. If you can leave it. You can write it in a paper. Don't overthink it. And even if you don't complete, then you leave it.
Yeah.
And wait like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And maybe while you are walking around or taking a shower, some idea will happen in your mind. Oh, like I like this, and I think I actually am doing this that I might make money with. This is helping people. Maybe my Ikigai is doing this, or maybe this is something I should work. And you don't need to find your Ikigai immediately. That's the point. And then you do it again like 1 year later. In fact, I say like, when you write your purposes, like your goals for the year, I think it's better you write your Ikigai, you answer your 4 questions for Ikigai, and then you will find I do that once per year. And then I find the small changes. It's almost the same, but then I find, especially in the things I like, there is a new thing I like. I enjoy this year. I don't know. I enjoy taking pictures. So I like cameras or photography. So there are small changes. And then after a while, you might have like, okay, this is where I want to make changes.
Yes. So like the more deliberately that you think about that, the more you can kind of make minor adjustments over time to like see how your interests have evolved, see how maybe your skills have evolved, maybe what you figure out what you're better at over time. That's certainly been the case for me. It's like, being in college and stuff, it's definitely like you're trying to figure out what you're actually good at, and things change all the time. It's like maybe you're not good at something you wanted to be, and find that you're better at something that you didn't think that you were. So that can kind of help you make those minor corrections over time to like keep checking back in.
What are you studying in college?
Psychology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have to teach me about psychology. You have to teach me.
I'm not sure if I'm in the position yet to teach. I'm mostly like
you will have to. I will hire you to review my books in the future.
I'll try my best. Be careful with that, but I'll try my best.
I have an actual. I will hire you in the future.
Okay, cool. I would be happy to. Is that something? Well, with writing, it's interesting.
And
that
So can I ask you more? Like, did you choose psychology because you have a concrete thing that you want to do later?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the point. So that's also in these days we struggle a little bit more in college, because I say that the previous, I think I always say that our parents' generations were in a way more lucky than us, because they had very defined, if you start to be this, you became this, you were a doctor, a teacher, whatever.
Yeah.
And these days we study something and we know many languages, and then it's an open-ended video game that there are many options. And then, you will have many options, right? So
which is one of the things about psychology. And I'm an undergrad right now. Psychology is one of those things that's like, it's so broad. It's a psychology undergrad. Like you get more specific going into grad school, But in undergrad, it like
It's everything.
yeah, I mean, it's so broad that it can be overwhelming. But that's partially why I picked it, because I wasn't sure. So I just picked it because I thought I was kind of just like, well, I'm interested in psychology. We'll figure it out. That's kind of been my approach to a lot of things. Like I'll just figure it out over time.
And we'll
So
figure
I
it.
guess we'll kind of see where it
It will be
goes.
meta. It will be meta. It will help you to figure out
Yeah,
the whole thing will make.
yeah. Well,
Yes,
so for you, you mentioned that you were doing computer science, but you always loved writing. And then you came over to Japan and you started writing geek in Japan as you were learning about Japan. Had you been writing books and articles and stuff before you moved, or is that
no,
something
no.
that? Oh,
That's
that's
something that
interesting.
happened. Yeah, that happened later.
So you
When I
come
was
over.
20. So my first book, I published my first book when I was 26 years old. And before, but I always had the impulse of writing. I was always writing things since I was, I don't know, 13, 14. So I had the habit of writing, writing, writing. And I was
Mhm.
writing online in a website since 1998, since I was 16, 17.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I had the habit of doing it.
Yeah.
And I noticed, so now I'm going to, so I noticed that for me, maybe this is a psychological thing. Writing down things, it had a calming effect in myself.
Hmm.
And if I didn't write, and I noticed this after like several years. Like, what's wrong with me today? I was feeling like more grumpy or
Yeah.
more annoying to other people. And it was like, oh, I didn't write this morning. So then something clicked in my mind, and I like, okay, now I have to write in the morning, and then I can go with my day. So maybe we're inventing today in this podcast, and another technique would be what it is that you have to do every day that
Yeah.
will calm your heart. So maybe that's also part of your purpose. What it is that is good for you. So that's a good metric, maybe.
Yeah, I do hear that from people where like you'll have a thing that if you don't do it, you don't feel good. So
Yes,
for you, you figured that out before it was ever like
writing
something
things.
where you're like, I want to do this for a living. You were just like, I just want to like I just feel much better when I get to do this every day.
Yes, that was for me. And also, it's also true. So I struggled because it was also true. I liked programming computers.
Yeah.
So, writing source code, and that was also something that I loved. Like, I could be hours and hours just programming. But the difference is that programming was more like playing video games. Like, you get the dopamine,
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa, whoa. So, but I could be many days without programming, and I would be okay.
Mm.
And then I would go back, and it would like, so there is a fine line there. I don't know. There is like things that can become addictions,
Yeah.
and things that look good. And you know the term workaholic,
Hmm.
and that's also real. Yeah, I've seen I think people get addicted just to the fact of working, and then then it is not good. So that's where I don't know. Everyone we struggle with that.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I thought was interesting in the book. You were talking about how, these people, they have found that thing in their life that they kind of devote themselves to, and they're always doing something all the time. Also in Japan, you have, Zen Buddhism is very prominent as far as I understand, and one of the ideas in Zen Buddhism is a focus on, naturalness and spontaneity and leaving some free space, but they also are the people over there are also well known for being disciplined in their crafts. What's that balance like between like them leaving
Mm.
space versus also having disciplined routines and rituals?
That's a very good question. I'm thinking. So what you said is true. They have I think the thing the I also need to know more about the U.S. culture, but there is something about there is this word in the U.S. that you see a lot online. It's called forgive me if I pronounce it. It's hustle,
Yeah.
hustle
Yep.
culture.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so hustle culture is like you're obsessed in something, and you have to do the more than you have to outbeat everyone.
Yep.
So that's the point until you burn out or whatever. You will work like 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, and then that probably will put you into the 0.1%, and then even if you are a little bit more stupid than other people or you know less, you will beat everyone.
Yep.
Just I think that's how I see this hustle culture. And what you're describing, like what I see, there is also in Japanese cities, I have to say, also people criticize me because in my book Ikigai, I describe more the lifestyle in the countryside of Japan.
Yeah.
In Tokyo, you also see this hustle culture. It has also arrived here, and people are like go 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 go, and there is no stop. But in the countryside, and what you say in Zen temples, in Shinto shrines, you see this ritualistic thing that you set and discipline. So you see that they are busy, but I don't know how to explain. They are busy in a graceful way. You know, when we all humans, we have busy days, but that we feel like everything goes nicely, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, this was a nice day. I accomplished many things, but I don't feel tired. I feel like, wow. You feel energized after the day. You are tired, but in a nice way. And then there are other days that we feel tired in a crazy bad way. You are because someone told you something that you didn't like, or you have got in. So I feel like the goal should be to be busy, but and in a graceful way, that these busy things that you are doing every day, we all have also seen things in rituals, like you said. We all have rituals in our days. Like we have to go to work, we have to study, we have to do this, that. So seeing like, okay, this is giving me energy and it's giving me more, and that's the balance. And this, I don't know if that answers your question,
No,
but
it
I
does.
think that's how I see countryside people in Japan. They're always busy, but in a graceful way, not in a crazy way.
Yeah. I think that touches on a really important difference of like it's not necessarily about not doing stuff. It's just it's the state that they're in while they're doing it. So like a lot of the the hustle culture stuff is you're grinding away but you don't really feel good. Like you're stressed and you're anxious. You're worried about outcomes all the time. You're always trying to get the next thing. But it seems like what you were describing in the book, at least in Okinawa, was that they're always doing stuff, but they're calm, they're relaxed, they're not as focused on the outcomes. They're just happily, and like you say, gracefully, just kind of going about the things that they like to do and feel good doing. So the busyness is kind of the same, but the pace and the state of mind is different.
Yes, and what you said, the focus is not focusing on the goal, but it's enjoying the process and improving the process. That's also something you see in Japanese artists. They are very focused on the process, more than because the focusing on the outcomes, you will have like the never
Right.
the never-ending unsatisfaction, because you can always have more and more, and then there's the spiral of more and better, more and better. Like
It
it's like
is that a change that you had when writing like Ikigai? Was
for me, I
when
think
you
that
came into that?
before this for me in my way of living, I think it started before. I read what you said, I read many books about Buddhism and Zen, and about, there is a story I like, I don't know, it hit me very, probably at the end of my 20s. I think I was a little bit of a hustler. I was doing
Yeah.
everything that you could
Yeah.
do. I was I was hustling on the internet before the hustle culture started.
Yeah.
I was there doing, before social networks started, I was there
Yeah.
like so I read a story about there is a disciple going to his master in a temple. This story is deep. Sometimes it's a teacher in a Tokyo University or something, and says, and the disciple or the student goes and says, I don't know what to do next. I have to keep doing this and that, and tells the teacher, the master, like, what should I do? He's just rambling, like he's lost. I'm lost in life. I want to do this and that and this project. And the master quietly says, you should first empty your teacup before pouring a new tea, more tea inside. So the point is, if the teacup you are putting more and more tea, it's overflowing, and the tea is going on the tatami mat, you should first empty the cup. And that started the process for me. For 2-3 years I started saying no to everything, almost everything, and stopping many things in my life. And I lost you a little bit. Okay, I think we are back. We are back, Jake.
Sorry, yeah, I'll cut whatever it needs cut, but my Wi-Fi cut out.
Okay, now we are back.
Sorry. Yeah, okay.
I thought it might be. Yeah. Okay, so I was saying that this is a story about the teacup that was overflowing.
Yeah.
Kind of clicked something in my mind, and it's like, okay, I'm going to stop many things in my life, and then after 2-3 years of eliminating things, I started adding things again, but in a more mindful way. Then I became more like, I would choose things more carefully before jumping and committing into something.
Yeah. So do you think you were doing too many different things, or was it more like too much of one or two things, or kind of like just too much of too many things? Like were you spread thin?
Everything. Too much of everything. I think that's also good in your 20s. So I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, it worked like in your 20s. I think we are very impulsive, and I think it's good to use that impulsiveness, because it creates many possibilities. For me, it created. That's why I wrote a book, because I was okay. I'm going to write a book, and then I'm going to do this, that. So I created many things, and then say, okay, now it's like too much. I couldn't handle everything. Like there was a point. Then I started eliminating, and then I chose. So maybe it's good in our 20s to like expand possibilities, and there are different phases. That's something I'm starting to think now that I get older. Like there are different phases in our life. Like, okay, you have to maybe in your 20s is a good idea to try many things, and maybe be like a little bit too busy or almost.
Yeah.
And then you start, okay, now it's time to start cutting, because you find something that really, okay, it seems this is really working. Then you start.
Yeah. Yeah, because
But you need to have the courage. You have to. It's like, I think it's like money. Like some people is like they don't know how to stop. They are already rich and they keep making more and more money, and it becomes so. You have to be very, very self-aware when there is a point. It's okay. You maybe this hustle culture is okay for 3-4 years, but then you have to know when to stop. Like, okay, now I have to stop because I found this thing that is called, and the rest I'm going to eliminate. So you need like you need maybe I think we're getting into an idea for a new book.
like the phases.
Like maybe the title what comes after the hustle culture or something like that. And the first 2-3 chapters is a story about someone who really went in the hospital because of too much work, and then empties the cup, and I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that idea of like it's okay for a little bit to kind of like take on a lot. Like you're young and energetic and ambitious, but you don't really know what to do yet.
Yes,
It would kind of be hard to narrow down.
exactly.
Because like
So,
you don't know what to narrow down on, so you're kind of like there is a stage where it makes sense to like go in on various different things and just kind of hack away for a little bit until you figure out what the thing is. But one of the funny things that I find about the hustle culture stuff compared to, well, it's a little ironic compared to the approach that you're talking about in Ikigai, the more calm and peaceful approach, is that these people are working into their 90s. So like the idea with hustle culture is like, if I just grind away and I sacrifice now, it's fine if I feel miserable, it's fine if I'm stressed, it's fine if I'm anxious, but like you're cutting decades off your life, and these people are getting like a decade or two more.
probably.
So like, they're probably more productive long term anyways.
Yes, that's a good point. It's a good point.
It's like
a good point. Stress kills, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I still say, yeah. I think probably until you're 30, probably it's okay.
Yeah.
When you start after your 30s, that stress in your 40s is very bad, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think a funny example of that, even in the U.S., is Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Like those guys are well known for being calm and peaceful and having a clear state of mind.
They are very. When they talk in front of many people and they get very complicated questions, they answer like almost with jokes, like but jokes that are have a lot of wisdom inside.
Yeah.
So that's a very
and like they're not taking, like they're taking it seriously, but like you can tell they're not uptight. And these are guys, what Warren I think is like, he might be 91 or 92, and Charlie Munger is like 99, and they're running like one of the biggest investment companies in the world.
I think they're doing exactly what they have, very clear minds, because they are exactly doing what we say in the book. They kept being active while growing old, but in a not a stressed way. So it's like, and they didn't change their philosophy of, they're not day trading. They're just okay, let's invest here.
Yeah.
And then probably it's like 2-3 weeks I'm going to relax reading books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
imagine Charlie Munger is probably reading books and writing books.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, they're both known for reading enormous amounts, and like not doing very many things either. Like it seems like, um, whether influenced by some of the Eastern ideas or not, like they kind of fall in line with them of like they're very simple. They don't like the things that they're dealing with are complicated, but they're not doing too many different things. Like they only make a few decisions. Like they're not spread thin. Is that level of simplicity something that you found in Japan that people will do to, to keep a calm and clear state?
I don't think that's I think that's the idea of not Japanese people, but yeah, I think it's a Zen idea
Yeah,
or and like being effective. But Japanese people are humans like all of us.
yeah,
But being, I feel the same. Like being aware of something. These days, we feel like I don't know. There's doing certain things. You are, especially with workaholism. You are doing like these things for 6 hours a day or 7 hours a day, and because they are giving you like dopamine hits, you feel like it's being useful, but you are actually doing like it's totally useless. You're
yeah,
just doing it because like okay. While what you are saying is like probably the most useful thing that you can do is just read a book or I don't know, go to a lecture and actually listen to the lecture is the most useful thing you can do. So again, I like a lot the word awareness because we think is what you said before, Jake, that we think we believe that we know what how we are, but we don't really know
hmm,
ourselves. In fact, knowing yourself, this is also psychology and philosophy,
yeah,
like one on one, but it's like since thousands of years ago, it was the Greeks said like know yourself
hmm,
is I think that's so that's very very important. And it's
yeah,
also very very obvious, but it is not like knowing yourself is probably one of the most difficult things in life,
yeah,
and having awareness. And when you're a person, everyone we fall in this sometimes when we are very. I think stress is very important. When you're very stressed and many things are happening in your life, you start losing awareness of what is being useful or not. You go into automatic mode and you start doing, and then you stop. It's like what I've been doing all these things these 15
yeah,
days and it's totally useless. I should have been studying or doing this, and instead I've been reacting on the internet to these things. So being aware of what is actually useful for you or what you are adding value to your for you for students is like um, I, I, I'm adding value to my future, yes or no. So and sometimes we we want these rewards in very I'm a very I'm extremely long term. This also has to do with personalities, but I'm a very extremely long term thinking person. I don't look for sometimes we are tempted like I want the reward like tomorrow or like and then we upload a picture to Instagram and we get like I don't know how many likes and then you get that reward
yeah,
or you post this online or you try to get a prize somewhere. I don't know, these rewards. I'm very long term thinking. So I write, for example, for me, it's like, and it's very difficult because it's like today, for example, I sat down to write, and I'm writing a book that probably like it will be in the bookstores. I don't know, it will be in 2025.
Mm.
So it's like 2 years from now, it will be in the bookstores. And then when it hits the bookstores, I'm not thinking if it will sell or not. I'm just trying to write the best I can.
Yeah.
And I'm spending a lot of time doing research. It's going very slow, and every day is like, I don't know, not many words, but okay. Every day I make sure that I have more words than the day before. And it's very, very slow progress. And the book will be in the bookstores like 2 years from now. And then in the book business, you get this royalty from each book, which is very, very small. So probably I will make some money from the books in 2026, like 3 years from now.
Yeah.
So today I've been working on things that I will make money from 3 years from now. So I'm very long. And you can start thinking about this also. If you're a student, you might think that what you're doing is useless, but what you're studying today, you're adding things to yourself. You're making knowledge. I believe in the power of knowledge. The more you know, the more leverage you will have later.
Yeah.
And you will have more ideas, and you will see more things that other people will not see. Opportunities. So maybe you are adding like 10 years from now, what you're doing now is very, very important. So that's how I think, like, and it's also like I like this, like if you make like 1% things every day for the long term is better than doing 1% things just for today to get a reward.
Yeah.
And so having that awareness, because sometimes you're doing that, and I also sometimes I say like, okay, fuck it, today I'm not going to write, I'm going to do this and that, because it's like, really,
Yeah.
I'm also human, but
Yeah.
it is going back to the point, like being aware. Okay, I'm aware that, okay, today I'm being full, but having the awareness, like, this is worth doing it, I'm going to sit down.
So that keeping that long-term stretch in mind, and the the compounding, the exponential growth that you're talking about, that kind of keeps you patient.
Yes, be patient.
Yeah, because I've talked to multiple authors in a similar boat to you, where it's like, talked to them a little bit ago, and they're like, yeah, I have a book coming out 2025. There is that, like, you have to see down the road. And it's just like each day you check it, because with writing, it's also like you can only write so much per day before you your brain kind of wears down. Like, was that a process for you, finding like?
Yes, it's the brain. Yeah, for me there is like there is a limit of my daily creativity. It's a very mysterious, and it really, I feel like when it's coming. Okay, it's good for today. Yeah. And then the next day it will come back in the morning. So, and some people who are masters, they have much more of that, like creativity. And I think for all creative professions is for every, I think it's similar. When I talk with musicians, like painters, it's the same. You go, you do it every day, and there is a point that, okay, you have to stop, do something else. Yeah.
For you, how have you been able to find that balance of like not wearing your brain down day after day, and being able to like notice, okay, I'm good for the day, like I'll go do something else? Because also with creativity, like it's helpful to like get out and go and do things, so like you can keep new ideas coming in. What have been some ways? That's a very
good point. Sometimes, that's a very good point, because if you do nothing like that, that's also very, I also thought I had this romantic idea that when I go, when I have all the time just for writing, I can just be writing all day, and I will.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way, because if you do nothing, you have no new ideas
Yeah.
and no new life experiences. There is a quote, I forgot from who: before becoming a writer, you have to live. I don't know how the quote was. You have to live life before.
Yeah.
That's why, like,
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote that, but it's very true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something along the lines of, I think I know what you're talking about. It's like something along the lines of like if you want to live like the life of an artist, you have to have a life, because that's what keeps
Yeah,
like your juices flowing and things coming in.
traveling helps, meeting people, and for me, walking. I love walking around Japanese gardens, temples, and shrines, and also for artists, I think also like looking at other people's art, like going to museums, reading books, listening to music. It also, like, your brain will start also, like, something as simple as watching a movie, like
Yeah.
like looking at stories, human storytelling will say, oh, this is new idea. Not in the moment, but usually ideas will come later. Like, okay.
For you, do you find certain things that give you energy and inspire you, or is it kind of just like broad genres of art or books or whatever? Like, is there something that you go to?
I try to go as broad as possible. In fact, but sometimes I get obsessed with something.
Yeah.
But then I get bored of something in concrete. If you tell me what's your favorite, I'm a person without favorites.
Yeah.
I always, always like, and try to force myself to. For example, I almost never read poetry, and then I force myself to read the poetry books, and then everything as broad as possible. Like, I would start reading books from 200 years ago, and also books published this year. So I would read. I don't know. This year I read Stephen King's latest novel, and then I would read a book, the Count of Monte Cristo from 200 years ago, and then I would read the book. How do you call it? There is a Japanese Matsuo Basho. It's a poet.
Yeah.
That he went traveling around Japan. He has a book with his. It's a very interesting book. That is hundreds of years ago. It was written, but it's like a diary. It's a travelogue by Matsuo Basho. He was traveling, walking. Those times it was walking or in a horse around Japan. He's writing a diary with the people he's meeting. Like, I met these people in this little town, and they let me stay in their place. And then he will write a poem. So I read this. It's a beautiful book that it lets you imagine how was Japan hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and with movies, I'm also very random. And with music, movies, I like American comedy movies, or maybe I watch a Japanese serious movie.
So I find that comforting as somebody who hasn't really had a whole lot of favorites either. So because like
we are similar.
Yeah, because people like will kind of act like it's like weird if they're like, you know, like, what's your favorite movie or like X, Y, and Z. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I kind of just like go and like, you know, this thing here, that thing there. I find that cool. I've never really felt the need to like, even though like there's some pressure, like people will tell you like, oh, just like only consume like the classics or the greats or whatever. But I kind of just like going around and whatever seems interesting to me, tasting that. Yes. So have you always been like that?
Yes, I'm also like, I didn't know. Yeah, I felt the pressure. Also, yeah, when you're a youngster, you feel it more. Like I should have a favorite movie, like music or something.
Yeah.
But now I don't give a shit. I don't have any. I don't.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get these obsessions. Okay, now I'm into. Yeah, last year I was into. No, this year I was into Akira Kurosawa movies, and I went deep, and then. But now I'm bored of Akira Kurosawa movies. I think I watched too
Yeah.
many. So now I disagree with myself from 6 months ago. Like in that moment, I was like, okay, I'm going to. And there was something like like, but for me, it doesn't. It doesn't become my favorite after a while. Like, okay, I learned what it is about, and then
Yeah.
next.
Yeah. I like being that way too. I'm just like I can, I very much have gone through phases throughout my life of like just various interests in different things, and then like I'll just kind of pop out of them, and I'm like, all right, well that phase is over.
Mm.
Like it just kind of out of nowhere, I'm like, all right, I'm not interested in that anymore, and then it's just the next thing. So like it's always been kind of weird
That's
because people are
good.
like, what? I thought you really liked this, and I'm just like, nah, not anymore. I don't know. Um,
Yes.
with with exercise, I thought it was interesting that you were talking about how the approach is generally over their more moderate exercise on a regular basis compared to like
Mm.
they're not over there doing like high
Mm.
intensity interval training.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I didn't find any gym. And
yeah,
yes, so that's. I think the title of the chapter is gentle movements, and
yeah,
it's not only us. This is something common in the
right,
5 blue zones around the world. That it seems that for a long, if you want to optimize for a long and healthy life, you have to move your body every day, but not in a crazy way,
yeah,
like an athlete. And in Japan, usually this is something that I can say they do. It's not like we were saying before, like are all Japanese like very zen.
yeah, yeah,
But that's not. I think in fact now
yeah,
probably
yeah.
there is more people meditating in the U.S. than in Japan with all
Yeah,
this
there's definitely a big
mindfulness.
wave of that here.
So, but
Yeah, yeah,
in Japan, I can say that many people do this thing called radio taiso, which is a set of exercises that it lasts is less than 10 minutes, and is just doing is based. It was inspired on Qui-Gon and Tai Chi, and the Japanese government introduced this routine. It's in the Japanese national TV in the mornings, and for some reason, like older people that they like watching national TV in the morning to watch the morning news and the weather, and then they do the radio taiso, and they start doing this in the parks or at home, and that's the main like being. And then this we didn't go deep, but there is research done by many other people. You can search online that there is to have a to move your body every day. Like if you, I think the data now shows that if you walk 8,000 steps every day is the line that you are reducing your mortality rate after your 70s or 80s. If you walk less, then if you walk more, then there is like diminishing returns.
yeah,
And of course, if you are in an athlete level, we all know that athletes that perform at I'm also okay with that. That's also we have great heroes that they do sacrifices because they die when they are 70 or 80. So
yeah,
I don't know. I hope maybe there is some athlete that also makes it to 100. In fact, I have to say that I met a Japanese, like 1 month ago, I met the oldest person who has completed an ultra, It's called an ultra. How do you call that?
Ultra marathon.
Ultra marathon. There is another one that is three. Is a triathlon.
Oh, like the three different.
It's like
triathlon.
It's a triathlon, but the marathon it's a full marathon, and then 3 kilometers swimming and a crazy like bicycle. And he has the world record Guinness. He's 91 years old. No one else is able to. And he's very. I was talking with him, and he was very clear. Like he was talking with me, like, and yes, this morning I did 50 kilometers in bicycle and everything. Like, whoa, who is like 91 years old?
That's crazy.
So, I don't know. Like, there are some mysteries, but the general advice is like you should do exercise, but also I have to say that to do too much exercise is very difficult. Like over exercising. You have to be very, very crazy to over exercise. So generally the answer is the more the better.
Yeah. And with myself and people I've been around growing up. So I grew up with a sports background, competitive sports, and a lot of our bodies are like now, like coming into our 20s, like a lot of our bodies are beaten up, like knees, backs,
really?
like everything. Like we're kind of in shambles from overtraining.
What did you do?
For me, it was football and basketball.
Okay.
Mostly basketball, but football and basketball for most of my childhood.
Probably, probably, very big guys hitting you.
Yeah, but one of the things I thought was interesting about it, I was watching Blue Zones, and the episode in Okinawa, like there's just like these older guys, they're in their 90s, they're like doing the splits, they look great, and I'm sitting there with like their knees look better than my knees and my friends' knees. Like I think we're doing something wrong with fitness. Like what we're associating with fitness is like go to the gym, grind it out. Like we're sore, we're beat up, and I'm like, I think we're doing something wrong here.
Yes, doing more mobility. But now I think you can find more options online. I see like mobility. So what you're saying, like also Okinawa is the land of karate. Is where karate was born. So probably in those documents, they look for people that probably they practiced. Those are outliers. Probably they practice karate all their lives. And karate, if you go, once you grow older, usually you're not hitting each other. You're doing the katas, so you can see karate is almost like it's like a Tai Chi or Qigong, like these traditions that I see it's a combination, is meditating with your body. You're combining breathing exercises in karate is katas. So you're moving, you're doing this kata, the other kata. And the karate katas are usually also flexibility and mobility. So you are basically strengthening everything. You're doing a workout and you are doing mobility, flexibility, strength, everything together. Like so martial arts, like but without contact. Like it sounds, I'm going to say it sounds like if you are young, probably it sounds like you're a pussy, like you don't want to fight.
Yeah.
But once you are in your 30s and 40s, I think it's much better, like not to hit each other. If you want to punch a bag, and then do mobility, and then there is this it's called movement culture on the internet. If you search for that, there is a lot of. There are many ideas now online on things you can do to like have workout routines that, okay, you do your like strengthening exercises at the gym, but later do 30 minutes of this.
Yeah.
And then if you do that for years, then your body structure will change, and then you will become. So that's something I'm starting now in my 40s. Maybe I'm late, but I'm more interested. I'm trying to do more mobility and movement,
Yeah.
and trying to squat every day as much as possible, so I'm comfortable in squatting position. And so this is a challenge for me now.
You wrote about yoga a little bit in the book. Is there much of that in Japan?
Yes, so yoga I think it's everywhere now.
I love yoga.
You go in the streets in Tokyo, and it's like yoga, and then you can drop in. I think it's very similar to the US, that you have a yoga place, you can drop in or join the place. I think it's what we say is you practice everything. You strengthen, it has also the breathing, and you have mobility, and it will change. Yoga will change your body.
Yeah, it's one of the most well-rounded. Like I've done various different kinds of fitness and workouts and stuff throughout my life, and I think it's probably the most well-rounded one, because you're getting stability and flexibility, and you could definitely do strength. Like a lot of people think of yoga as like it's just stretching. Like you can make it pretty difficult. Yeah. It's
like you hold 30 seconds more and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can make it tough.
More.
It's like it gives you some humility checks too. It's kind of funny because like you can go to the gym and like get strong, and like you can look big, and like you're adding muscle and stuff, and you feel like you're big and strong, and then you go and do some of these yoga poses and you can't hold them. It's like the stability falls apart, and you're like, wait, hold on, I'm in here with like these like 40-year-old women, and they're like outperforming me in these yoga poses. I'm like, I thought I was like fit and strong, and it's a very different way of fitness. It's very funny.
Yes, that's I like what you say. Like, here in Japan, yes, you go to a yoga class and you see the 60-year-old Japanese guy doing a stand-up push-up in the corner just to.
I saw somebody doing that at a class.
Who is this 60-year-old guy can do more things than me?
Yeah, I saw that in a class once, and I don't do many classes. Usually I'll just do it at home, but like I've been in a class where like there's older guys, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, how are they doing this? I'm like, I can't even do this stuff.
Do it. You have to keep doing it for years. But
I found that it feels so good for your joints. Like I haven't found anything that feels that good for my joints. So I'm like starting to make a transition of paying more attention to like joint mobility and stuff like that. I think those kind of movement practices are great for it.
The knees. The knees, if you did basketball, probably your knees, you need to do strengthen your knees.
Yeah, but my knees are kind of a disaster a little bit. But lower body, but I've definitely found that those kind of practices are helpful. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the diet. You mentioned the variety in the diets. I'm kind of one of those who eats like the same few things like every day, but you were talking about they eat like a lot of different things often in Okinawa.
Probably also like many different things, but also it repeats like everyone. There is like a routine. There is like always the same similar thing. If you're in Okinawa for a while, at the end it's like, okay, there's all these dishes all the time. Like the Goya champuru. The thing I said is it has a variety of things. You will usually see things from the sea and see things from like vegetables and also animals. So and from the sea is both fish and seaweed. So you have a combination of things, and it's usually things grown by them. I'm talking now about Okinawa, not about Japan in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Tokyo, there is tons of fat food, and people are getting fatter, like
Yeah.
everywhere else. I'm talking about the blue zone in
Hmm.
Okinawa, where most of the people they in fact they don't have a big supermarket in the village. They grow their own things and they sell them to each other or interchange. They live in communities. There is a lot of fishing and they have seaweed. So all their recipes are based on, usually is like you have 5 or 6 very small dishes. One has seaweed inside, another has rice, another has a little bit. They love pork, so they will have pork, and then a little bit of fish, and then some vegetables. Like usually there is one called goya, which I think is bitter melon in English, and that's basically it. And the rice will repeat every day. If you come to Japan, you will see that white rice, white rice, white rice. And then what will change is the main, instead of fish, maybe the next day is chicken, and then that's, but always vegetables, protein, and rice. So it's a
Yeah.
very rice-based diet.
For me, I'm somebody who loves eating meat, and often what you'll hear about the places in the blue zones is that they don't put much of an emphasis on
I
meat.
think
Like, what are your thoughts on
I
that?
don't know. I don't have a strong
Yeah.
opinion, but
Okay.
I don't have a strong opinion on this. But I have the feeling maybe we will make a controversial podcast today. I have the feeling
Fair
that
enough.
some
No
people
problem.
are trying, some people are out there are trying
Yeah.
to make the blue zones look like they are eating vegetables only, and it's not true. I've
Okay.
been there, and I'm telling you, they eat very, very fatty. In fact, it's very, very fatty pork. There is something called rafte in Okinawa, and it's really fatty, and it's delicious. I love it. It's like, and that's pork. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't see, I haven't found any vegetarian in Okinawa.
Okay.
Maybe there are, but I haven't found them. I don't know if someone else is saying that online. That I haven't found them, and that I've been. My wife is from Okinawa, and last 3 months I've been in Okinawa. Today I'm in Tokyo, back in Tokyo, and I know many people. I have family in Okinawa. Know many people there, and no vegetarians. So
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what they're saying online.
Yeah.
Maybe we can
Yeah.
clip this and put it online and they say this is I
Sure.
think is one of these you call it psyop. Really.
Yeah.
This is also psychology, like it's like someone is
Yeah.
trying to connect like blue zones with vegetarian
Yeah.
and make people believe that, but
Yeah.
in fact, no.
Yeah. Okay.
This
So that makes
Okinawa
me
is
feel
filled
better.
with pork farms. You can smell
Yeah.
the.
Yeah. So this is gonna make
So
all
that's
like
good news for
myself
you, I
and
guess. You can eat.
yeah. Yeah. That's gonna make myself and my circles happy, like the meat eater people, because
Go.
it's yeah. So I'll use this as an excuse to keep eating meat.
That said,
But
is like there is a balance. It's not.
yeah.
I think the message in our book in the diet is that don't go to the extremes. That's what
Yeah.
that's what we've seen in the diet, and
Yeah.
that's also what I've seen in the I'm from the Mediterranean,
Okay.
so that's what I've seen all my life. The Mediterranean diet is also
Yep.
the second longest living people in the world are in Spain.
Yep.
and I think always balance. There is no extremes. Like I will only eat this or that. It's like maybe these
Yeah.
2-3 days I will eat a lot of meat, but then 2-3 days I will eat, I don't know, pasta or salads or fish, and then
Yeah.
I don't know. The variety is the spice of life. So,
Yeah.
and I think in the U.S. I have to blame the US again. There is a trend of
Fair enough.
trying to make these extreme diets, like the carnivore
Yeah.
diet.
Yeah.
That's also bad. I'm not saying that meat is good.
Yeah.
Just do like
Yeah.
so. That's what I want to say. That extremes are usually not a good idea in diets. I think unless you have some condition, an illness or something that maybe you need to intervene,
Right.
then that's fair. Like maybe, okay, you have something wrong in your body, then you have to take an extreme approach, an extreme diet to deal with it. That's good. But for general, if you are healthy, you're good. You eat whatever, enjoy life, like, and
Yeah.
don't overdo it. Like,
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've had trouble oscillating between extremes and trying not to like I definitely have a tendency towards that, towards like more like rigid, I guess, like extremes or diets, and I'm trying to break out of that some and be a little bit
mm,
more open with that.
you can be. I think you can be extreme in like certain days. Like,
Yeah.
like these 2 days, I'm going to go full. I like the I think it's Tim Ferriss has the
Yep.
okay. This is the cheat day, and then you
Yeah.
go crazy that day. And the other days, okay, I'm going to balance. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good philosophy. Like enjoy life.
Yeah, the last part I thought was interesting about their diet was like that 80% rule, because all that's something that I haven't I haven't followed very well, because usually what I do is like I'll eat a couple of meals, and then like if I'm working out, like trying to like gain muscle and stuff, I'll be eating a lot, and I eat way more than the like it seemed like the average intake was over there, and like I think sometimes with my meals I'll go over that 80% rule pretty
How
far.
old are you now?
22.
You shouldn't just eat whatever you want. But you when you read when we talk again 10 years after 10 years, then you will start noticing things. Your body,
Yeah.
I think your body now can take whatever you give your body. Especially if you're exercising, it's probably very difficult to get fat. But
So it
after a
seems like the
certain
general.
age, like our body, your metabolism, I think after several, I don't know how many years, your metabolism goes down,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that starts is like, and then you start noticing like, and if you are going aware again to awareness, you will start if you're truly aware with your body, you will start noticing. It's like your body will say, okay, it seems I don't need to have as much dinner as I used to.
Yeah.
Then start listening to that signal and not keep. That's what you see. People in their 30s that they keep. If you keep eating like when you were 20 years old, that's when things start going wrong.
Yeah.
Like, so have an awareness. Oh, okay, it seems I don't need to. Then let's just have less dinner, and then you will keep being. I think that's very simplistic, but I think that's what worked for me. To not.
Yeah. So it seems like with all of these things, it's kind of the general theme is pay attention to how you feel and just kind of do what feels right rather than forcing yourself to like adhere to some kind of like rigid protocol.
Yes, I think that's the. I think from the rigid protocols you can also get. I think you can get knowledge or wisdom and say,
Yeah.
okay, from this, okay, I'm going to look at. So I don't dismiss like, oh, these people, and I think it's also good that they're experimenting. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
And then, okay, from this I will get this idea, and from this I will get this idea.
Yeah.
And but for me, I like more having like general, like 80-20, what you said, the 80-20. No, the 80% rule. Like you will eat until you feel like 80% full, and then you stop eating. And that's generally a good thing when you start growing
Yeah.
older. Like,
Yeah. So, you mentioned the new book that you're working on, and that'll be coming out in 2025. What's that book about?
I'm going back to writing. I don't think it will be a super bestseller, but it will be a little bit like a geek in Japan, like going to explain
Cool.
basic things about Japan, but in a deeper way. So now that I've been a geek in Japan, I wrote it when I was just at the beginning 2-3 years in Japan. So there are many things. I love the book because you can see that it's written in a very innocent way, or maybe naive. So and now I read it and say, okay, you were slightly wrong, Hector, but I will not correct you. That's okay. It's like, that's cute. You were in your 20s, you didn't understand.
Yeah.
And now I want to write something similar, but with my views now about Japan and the Japanese culture.
Yeah. And where can people find your work online?
I have many, like, well, just go to hectorgarcia.org is the website.
Cool.
And on you can Google Hector Garcia Ikigai, and you will find my Twitter, and he probably on Instagram is Ikigai book, and you'll probably find me if you write Hector Garcia author, because I think there is now another Hector Garcia who is a boxer,
Yeah. Yeah.
who
Yeah.
is
I noticed that.
who is becoming more, he's much more popular than me. So you will, I'm not the boxer.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on. I'll link those accounts in the description. But yeah, thanks for giving me your time, and I found the book fascinating. So
Thank you, Jake.
I would highly recommend that people go and read it. But thanks a lot.
Thank you.